Hi guys, Lucy aka The Watchbox Diaries here with another video for you. Welcome to my channel. Christopher Ward seem to be a brand that really do have their ear to the ground in terms of releases and knowing what the customer wants. When they released the 12 just a few months ago, it was an instant hit. When I managed to get my hands on it, the only gripes really were the fact that there was quite a lot going on in terms of design details and the sizing of it at 40mm. I know, shock horror, Lucy's mentioning sizings again. I noticed a lot of you guys in the watch community were also asking for a smaller variation. And guess what? Christopher Ward listened and they have provided. Thanks to the awesome guys at Christopher Ward, I managed to get my hands on the brand new 36mm in ice blue. So let's get this review going. It comes in at 36mm, obviously, with a lug-to-lug of 40.8mm and a height of just 9.95mm. It has a screw-down crown providing 100 meters of water resistance. Much like a lot of Christopher Ward's, it uses the Sellita SW200-1 automatic movement, which has 38 hours of power reserve and an accuracy rating of around about +20, -20 per day. Price-wise, it's actually priced exactly the same as the 40mm version. So on the bracelet, it's 1,050 Great British pounds. And if you choose the rubber strap option, it's £850. So what are the differences between the 36mm and the 40mm versions? Other than the very obvious size difference, the main other difference is the lack of a date function within the 36mm version. Part of my feedback on the 40mm was the busyness of the design, and this definitely helps in refining the aesthetics and, in my personal opinion, actually allows for highlighting the other design features. So the colorways are slightly different as well. They have taken the Arctic white of the 40mm and given it a little bit more of a warmer vibe with gold hands and indices. And they've also given us a very cool green shade with this frosted lichen. They've clearly not listened to my recommendation of simpler colorway names though. Wearability wise, the 36mm does sit much better on my wrist. It's just under 6.25 inches and this is it on the 36 and the 40mm. I do think the 40mm is fine, but I feel a lot more comfortable with the 36mm option. Speaking of comfort, the bracelet is incredibly comfortable. It hugs the wrist. Although, because it is a full steel watch, including bracelet, just be aware that it's gonna feel a little bit flashier than if you were wearing a strap. It catches the light very well. For me, I just love how this looks and wears on the wrist. I did find myself looking down and smiling when I was wearing it, and that's kind of what you want from a watch. There is a lot going on with the dial texture, the polished indices, the the 12-sided bezel, and that mix of polished, sandblasted, and brushed steel. But somehow it still manages to be simple enough to be unassuming on the wrist, but with enough going on that it's interesting to look at still. The highlight on this, and it was very similar for the 40mm, is the dial. It's so beautiful. That 3D twin flag logo dial texture combined with this ice blue shade, it's beautiful. The way it hits the light and you get different shades, yeah, oh, it's just so pretty. So, although I do think the dial is a lot cleaner and there's a lot less going on design-wise, the feature that they chose to remove compared to the 40mm to achieve this is probably the most useful function. They took away the date function. It is the most useful function, certainly the most useful one for me, and that's the element they decided to take away. However, I do appreciate the fact that when you are reducing the size of a watch, and I guess you want to keep the design elements and just provide a smaller option for people, you do have to reassess the proportions of the dial and the information within that dial. So that's got to be a pretty tough task to do and make sure by eye it still looks good. I have genuinely loved spending time with this watch. As I said earlier, it's a watch that made me smile. The dial colour is just gorgeous. I love a good ice blue dial. It's just a well-built, well-designed, well-thought-out piece. Now, some of you will be comparing this to the Tissot PRX, another company that provided something in a larger size and did it super, super well, and then released a smaller version. So I can see where the comparison is. Both have fantastic aesthetics, style variations, design cues, and they're both pretty well priced. I do think this is the slightly more upgraded version, if I'm being honest, so that will be where the price difference lies, but then it just comes down to personal preference because they're both great watches. I do think they could do with upgrading the power reserve on this. So 38 hours for me, I would like a watch that has more. Now, I know it's not that important to a lot of you out there. In fact, some of you love picking up a watch and kind of connecting with it every time you set it. But me personally, I get up early for work, or I have a couple of watches that are in my rotation. It is nice to be able to just pick up a watch and have it ready to go. I could get a quartz, but I just prefer mechanical. Guys, that's it. That is my Christopher Ward, the 12 36mm review done. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video. If you have learned something, fantastic. If you have been entertained, even better. Now it's over to you because I would like to know what you guys think of this new release. What do you think of the watch? What do you think of the brand? What do you think about my thoughts and feelings on this? Let me know in the comments section below. You know how this bit goes. If you want to support my channel, then you kind of have to do the algorithmy things. Make sure you have liked and subscribed to the channel. And if you want to be notified of my upcoming videos, then just turn on the little bell and YouTube will do its thing. Until then though, bye.